No, no, this is better. Those look like strange looking eyes. Yeah, hi. Like, I'm Aayna. I'm Aayna Vinaya, a visual artist and art director from India. This is my first time in the Netherlands, and yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's an old Philips factory. The name is difficult. I don't know if you're Clockable? Is that what it is? All right, yeah. I was here to give an artist talk and share my work. I thought the live audience would be a lot more scary, but I actually like seeing friendly faces in the audience and people responding to things I was saying versus online where I was just mostly looking at self talk. So that was fun, and I thought the only thing I missed was probably being able to do it in my pajamas, but that's. I guess most people know me by my Instagram largely. Like I think I don't know if that's one thing, but I think people recognize me for my style across projects. So I usually try to work very intuitively and I don't draw very correctly. And I always used to do that, but turns out that's not as easy as I thought it was because most people struggle with being playful in their work. So a lot of people tell me that my work is bold or fearless or like I don't give a damn kind of thing. And I didn't know that was difficult. I thought that was easy to do, but turns out people struggle with that. So, yeah. I was surprised when people say they find it hard to do that because I basically draw like a child. And then I just polish it up with some of the skills that I have learned across the years. But my drawings are essentially like quite not too different from when I was 5. And I think a lot of people get caught up in like trying to make it, trying to make their drawings look mature or look like they have learned stuff. I think I'd like to trust my instinct. So the first thing I draw, and then I kind of go with that. I don't think subject wise things have changed too much because I think I've always been interested in doing characters, stories, people. I try to do different. Okay, so there were 2 projects because there's something called the 100-day project on Instagram. So there was the first year I just come back from Barcelona and I was studying figurative art there, so I was drawing like nudes every day. So I came back and I did a project for the 100-day thing where I was drawing like nudes every day, but like it was a very personal project in terms of like exploring my relationship with myself. And it was because it was such a vulnerable subject and I was so used to drawing nudes, it just happened like that all the people in that particular project were nude. And then the next year I did a complete 360, no, 180, right? 360 would be coming back. 180 shift. And then I was documenting clothes of India, like the textiles and clothes of India. So on one, that was, I think, a complete change from like drawing nudes to like drawing lots of clothes. During the pandemic, strangely, now that you ask, I started drawing a lot more interiors, but it's just something I'm realizing now. So even I'm like, oh, I did not realize this before. It's not, yeah, because I used to only draw largely like people against like blank stuff. I never drew backgrounds and spaces. And I don't know how this connects to me being indoors, but it just happened that projects that came my way also, people wanted like spaces documented in paintings. And so that was interesting actually, because there was a lot of indoors in my life. And then there was a lot of indoors in my work as well during the pandemic. Depends on how complicated the piece is, but usually a couple of days for a detailed painted illustration. A couple of days. So I do a very rough drawing first, and that's largely like very instinctive. And then I block in the color for it. Only once I'm happy with the color, then I start like painting the actual thing. But I like knowing the colors before I do the final work. Sometimes I change it, but I do spend a lot of time blocking the colors. So I usually don't deviate too much from that. I don't know. I just put colors and like I have something in my mind and I try to get it on paper. And as long as, and I keep playing around with it till I get the mood right. Like I usually have a mood or a feeling that I want the artwork to convey in mind more than an image of what it should be. And then I kind of play around with it till it kind of hits the right mood. And yeah, once I'm happy with that, then I kind of go on and do the fair artwork. That's actually my least favorite part of the process, though. I like it. I like the rough bits more, where I'm figuring stuff out. But then when I have to do the final piece and execute it, like a lot of people enjoy that. I don't, because then that's not a challenge anymore, and it's just like executing and I already know what it's going to be. There are no surprises, right? As opposed to when you're figuring it out, you're allowing yourself to be surprised as well, and I really enjoy that bit. Like there's a bit of mystery, right? Like okay, it's in my mind, but it's still not on paper. But the rough almost looks like the final one. So then, yeah. So I've been told that I have colors that like look like me. I mean, like, but I don't think there is a set scheme, but I do enjoy making things, giving a warm kind of atmosphere to most of my work. Like, there's a certain warmth I like. So, I'll never use, say, a white paper. It'll always be an off white. Like, so maybe that, but I don't think there's a palette in particular that I follow. Something in the performing arts, a singer, a dancer, something that's yeah. I find that so fascinating. Like people who do stuff with their bodies and their voices, and yeah. So there are actually little cues in the way people communicate, and sometimes just an email. By the tone of it, you can tell that this would be a nice person to work with. And I think when you're working with people, the project is maybe 50% of it, and the other half is like the other 50% is how nice the people are to work with. And I think that you can gauge from the email itself. And then, of course, if the brief is also equally exciting, then you know it's going to be nice. I'd love to work with clay ceramics, like tangible stuff. Yeah, I've done a bit of clay work before, but not enough. But I would love to make 3D illustrations, like hand build it and like. Yes, I saw someone in the expo area, right, making like a thing. Yes, I really loved Matilda by Roald Dahl growing up. Yeah, I think if I had to pick one book, then that one would be it. Like the story of the girl and the way she was drawn and stuff was very relatable. I think I didn't trust myself enough as an artist, or I think I started taking art seriously actually just about 2 years ago. Before that, I because India doesn't have much of a scene in this, I thought that there are so many talented people out there, and maybe my job is to uh, get that talent together and promote it, and because I was also good at that, I love doing that. But in that process, I didn't focus on my own art, and then when I started doing it, magic things started happening. So I think not trusting myself enough, and then learning to.